Now.
Hi there, welcome to today's Business Growth Club show. We are so pleased to have you here. The theme is growth marketing.
We're talking about actions and consequences today.
It's all about purpose.
Driving business growth with using KPIs.
We're talking money mindset.
The Growth Club, I mean, not to oversell it, but it's so well organised. So yeah, it was totally invaluable.
The Growth Club, coupled alongside with the Masters that I'm doing at Strategic Leadership at the moment, both of those things happening collectively have definitely transformed, and the Growth Club did have a massive impact for our business.
What is it that attracted you to come to the Growth Club in the first place? Let me just start off with that.
Well, because it was the two of you, basically.
Hi, how are you doing? We're already at the end of January, so this year is flying by really, really quickly. So we're back again. We're here every Tuesday without fail. So I'm Jo, different hairdo. You've been seeing all the hairdos on the show reel there, and Mahmood's got his earphones on as well. So
I have, yeah.
Yeah, doing good. So it's great to see you. We've got a lot planned tonight, haven't we?
We have indeed, actually. We've just been having a nice little warm-up chat. We had one this morning. We've got another one which had a few minutes before we come on air, talking about time and all wonderful things. We also talked to a few other things which we won't be able to air over the Broadways, over the airwaves. Can't even speak now. Call it tax return fatigue, by the way. That's what's happening. My brain is getting saddled with all things normal. So, as Jo said, we've got a great show tonight. We're going to keep up the momentum, keep it BS-free. Full of good advice, things to help you on your business growth. Obviously, if you're coming on afterwards, put hashtag replay on there. We know you're out there. We'll pick up your comments and feedback accordingly. So we've got a fantastic show all about how to invest your time.
Yeah, so the concept is investing your time like money. So it's about investing your time, not spending your time, because it's a different mindset whether you're investing or spending. And also in today's sort of fast turnover, short attention span culture, sometimes we want really fast results when we invest, and actually things take time. Sometimes we need a bit of patience and a bit of space for things to nurture and grow. So what's your patience like, Mahmood?
Well, it depends what it is, actually, Jo, but I do love that connection with investment here, because I think in terms of that for me, that summarises things. So in terms of patience, probably it's a variable thing. So on certain things, I've got loads of patience. So, when I'm dealing with clients, I'm dealing with challenges, great. If I'm dealing with people who should know better, if I'm dealing with situations, if I'm feeling a little bit tired myself, so my patience gets a little bit thin there as well. So it's very much a variable piece, I would say, and that's PISTE, by the way, not anything else.
Yeah, I think with patience, for me, it's about laying down the foundations now, knowing that it will take time to get sometimes the return. It's not everything happens overnight, and I think we're in such an internet online world where there seems to be so much apparent overnight success around us that actually it's just really, really good to bear in mind that we need to start things today in order to sow the seeds today so we can harvest them later on, and and just not expect an immediate return on everything that we do.
What's that old cliche? I think anyone who's actually succeeded, whatever your definition of success is, overnight success is typically several years in the making of blood, sweat and tears here. And I think that you're right. Well, you're always right in terms of that gratification. Quick wins, shiny baubles, distractions. We're going to share some of our thoughts tonight about how to minimise that, the perpetual cat video syndrome, where you actually divert, you think you do something which is meaningful, you do something which you think is going to add value to your business, you do something which is going to take your business forward. And what tends to happen is you don't actually pay attention to those things that you need to spend attention on. And very definitely what you put in, what you invest in terms of time and energy will actually reap those rewards later on. So we're all succumb to them. Jo, what's your typical distractions?
Well, I suppose from a typical distraction point of view, I'm actually really good at getting focused and into flow when I'm interested in doing something and when I've started to do something. But I think so many of us can sort of blame other people for our distractions. And if you're in an industry or in a job where it's your job to react and respond and help people out, that's one thing. But actually, we've got more control over it than we think. So I think it's being quite mindful. And I'm quite proud of myself in terms of how I manage this, because so I have a form of adult ADHD, which has been diagnosed properly, but I can really focus in, and it's really about doing things you enjoy, setting yourself up for success, and just giving yourself the space, knowing that what you're doing is important and knowing that what you're doing right now has a benefit, and making the link. I think procrastination is something that many of us suffer from, but once you get started, then it's okay. You know, making that first step towards doing something significant is the hardest bit.
I think it's always that first step. And I always find that when you've got tasks ahead of you which look quite, hard work, quite gritty, maybe not the sexiest thing that you've got to do, whether it's keeping your house in order in terms of your books, whether it's in terms of getting your planning done, whether it's actually thinking about what your next few weeks, a few months ago. It's amazing how your brain can build up a barrier, can build up a wall to actually make it a more momentous task than it actually is. But once you actually start doing it, for me, it's a bit like if you imagine if you've got kids, for example, you've got a messy bedroom, you look around, you've got a great big mess here. But if you start by picking up one little sock, one little thing here, and you carry on with that little incremental change here, you'll find that before you know it, everything's done. So for me, it's actually suck up the energy, and probably it's a mindset thing, not looking at something as a negative, as an obstacle, but something that's really important to do to actually take you on to the next steps as well.
Yeah, and there's a lot of psychology behind why we might procrastinate as well. And the reasons are different for everybody, but actually a fear of perfectionism. When there's something that we want to do, we want to do it really, really well, or where we feel like there's a super high expectation on us to do it really well. The fact that we want it to be perfect can sometimes put us off starting. And of course, in reality, there's no such thing as perfection. There's only the best job we can do with the time and the resources available. And I find that when I, to get going on something that's really significant or important, I try and give myself some creative time. So no pressure to create anything, fantastic, but maybe start with a mind map, start with some sticky notes, just empty your head, and then you get something to work with, and it overcomes the obstacle of thinking I've got to start with a blank sheet of paper or, from scratch, because you've just got some thoughts. But getting them out there with no pressure is a really good thing to do.
It's that whole idea again, isn't it, of that over engineering something here. I think for the best bigger example on the scene is probably someone like Microsoft, who basically went the opposite way. And there's always that story that Microsoft, if they were to design aircraft, they would get an aircraft in the air that only had one functional engine and then fix the other one as they went along here. But for them, it was great because it's this idea of agile, sprint, get it out there, get it market tested, get that feedback. Your idea of what is the right threshold quality is probably not your customer's idea there as well, but it's to get it out, it's the feedback to modify. But you're quite right. A lot of us do that over engineering, holding back. Our perception of what it needs to be isn't always what the customer perceives either. So, I think that picks up on a lot of things we've talked about previously, where you get that feedback, you get that, customer interaction there. But you're right, perfection will never happen.
Yeah. And I think often what I hear, and I'm sure you do too, but let me know if it's different, is that business owners feel like they're always short of time, that there are never enough hours in the day to do the things that they want to do. And that's not everybody, but that is, a large majority, I would say. And if you're listening, if that sounds like you always feel like you're short of time, you can't fit everything in, then let us know. Or have you got it all a nice pace, it's all running beautifully, and you feel like you've got plenty of time? Because the thing about time is it's how we perceive it influences how we use it. And that's why the theme is investing your time as you would your money. If you'd only got £100 to spend, you would think about how you spend that £100 and what's the best way in which to use it. And with time, we've only got 168 hours each every week, regardless of what we do for a living, regardless of how big or small our businesses are, regardless of how much money we've got. So it's about really budgeting that time and making sure that when you invest in that time, you're getting the best return on that investment. You're using your skills, you're moving yourself forward, you're doing the things that really pay off when you want to focus.
I mean, I would probably see that also like an allocation or a resource exercise. So if you look at time as a very important commodity, you'd allocate resources to those areas that need that resource allocated. So, if you're putting a budget together, you think about cash, you think about people, you think about skills, you think, where do I need to put those resources to get the best return for my business here? You do exactly the same with time. And time, I don't know what your approach is, Jo, but when you look at time, in terms of it being spending here, you can either look at it in terms of the key tasks that are going to be done in your business. You can either look at it in terms of where your best energies are deployed. You can create more time, and I don't mean like a TARDIS or anything, but actually getting more capacity, bringing extra resources here, being more efficient with what you do there. But I think you need to have that mindset connection, don't you, as we've said, about what you invest in terms of time energies, in terms of what you want to get out of it as well. And look at it as a scientific application as well.
Yeah, because also our perception of time, I'm not going to go all Einstein-y, in terms of time and space and those sorts
Let's
of things.
Let's do Einstein, get him in there.
But from a time perspective, we're really influenced by perception. So if you're in a rush, for instance, and you really want a quick cup of tea, you want to take a cup of tea with you, and the kettle boiling seems to take a lot longer than if you've got all the time in the world. If we're doing a task that we don't enjoy, it feels like it takes us longer than it actually does. So our perception is often very different from the measured time that things actually take. So when we look back on our week, the things, and also what stands out in our memories are usually the things that we've really loved doing and the things that we've detested doing. Those jobs that everybody's got some sort of job that they hate doing that they need to get done. And those things have great prominence in our minds. So therefore we think we spend more time doing those things than we actually do in reality. And of course, time flies when we're having fun, and it drags when we're doing things we don't enjoy. So measuring, for a week, keep some sort of time log, time diary of how long things really, truly take you in a measured way and not in a perceptual way, and see how you're spending your time. I've thought, invoices take ages, usually because I think invoices are important. I'm grateful every time I raise one because it means somebody's been kind enough to give me some work, and I really value every customer, every piece of work. But actually, when I timed how long it takes me to do, it doesn't take me that long to do it all. It's all in here.
Yeah, but you got in that like a refined process, haven't you? And I think that idea of a work diary, a time diary, is a great way. If you're thinking about improving anything here, you need that data. You need the analysis of what's going on there as well. So we divide it into tasks. It's interesting on that processes that you've talked in terms of, because a lot of us spend an inordinate amount of time on processes that can be made more efficient and can be made more automated. I think in my own businesses now, over the last few years, when we've become more digital and we've looked at onboarding processes from, a stranger to a paying customer here, there are elements in that chain, having studied what those involved, is actually, you can actually get processes in to create time, to save time, to look at it, but you can't do that unless you do the analysis. What I found is it's always about, and it's weird actually, because it's always kicking into themes that we've talked about on previous shows. You've got that, what I call incremental gains. You've got that idea of a 5 minute here, a 10-minute saving compounded over a year equates to a lot more resource that you can create in terms of time as well.
And of course, that time saving isn't really a saving, because you can't put it somewhere and use it later. Once the time is gone, that's gone. So you are saving time, but it's not something that you can stack up as you can any other resource, is it? You can't say, I'm not going to participate in anything a week on Wednesday, and I'm going to save that Wednesday for another time in the future. We can't do it. That week on Wednesday is going to come and go whether we like it or not. So really thinking about this and keeping a time diary and analysing where you're spending the time is really important from a perception point of view. But we only get that time once. And when it's gone, it's gone. And I think that's really important to bear in mind. So if you are saying, if you hear yourself talking to yourself or saying to, people at home or at work, oh, there's never enough time, I'm really busy, never enough time, that sort of talk, and you're not keeping a time diary for a week, and you're not stopping to think about what's important and what's not, or how you can resource upwards for that, then you're not sort of helping yourself.
So how do you disrupt the perceptions then? Because perceptions are a big part of it, and we've got these inbuilt ideas about this here. So what's your thoughts then about how you disrupt those perceptions?
Well, how I've disrupted my own perceptions is to use an app. I use Toggl, Toggl. Other apps are available. I'm not recommending it. We're not an affiliate for it or anything. I just use it, and I time. You just click on, what you're doing. You click on, the timer starts. When you finish your task, you click off it. You can have it on your phone if you're out and about, on an iPad, on a desktop, whatever. And you just time how long it actually takes you, and then you can see, how long you've spent. You can organise how long have you spent doing this, how long have you spent doing that across the week, a month, whatever it is. And you see scientifically how long you've really spent. And that's why I say, I always think, I actually thought about getting more admin support to help with my invoicing. But actually, when I looked at how long it really took me, it's minutes, it really is less than half an hour, thanks to things like Xero, and cloud and the systems that you put in place. It's all about the systems that you put in place.
Yeah, but you need to know what systems to put in place before you actually put the systems in the first place. So it comes back to that old conundrum, isn't it, of do the work, do the homework, do the analysis. I know we introduced this idea of investing here, and I know what you're in terms of. I know you're very familiar with that normal distribution curve, that sort of product life cycle, and I think typically investing your time follows very much that normal distribution curve, that sort of product life cycle, where you've got a lot of investment at the beginning, okay, and then as you invest that time effectively, then you're going to get the returns as time goes on, as it matures.
Yeah, because the other thing that we do when we're investing time is we confuse how fulfilled we feel about getting a task ticked off a list, or how fulfilled we feel about completing something, versus the actual return and the benefit that it has. So, and this, as humans, from a behavioural science point of view, we're wired to like short-term reward. We like to get a reward as close as possible to the time that we take the action. So therefore, it can be quite difficult for us to think about, well, I'm doing this now because it'll pay off in 6 months, or it'll pay off in, sometimes with a new online business, it can be 2 years to really build, a significant size business, or any business. So what we've got to do is really be mindful of that, and still put in place things now that we will need to help us in the future. Because if we don't do that, what happens is we get to the future and we haven't done the work back then, and we're still no further forward than we need to be. So it's about sowing the seeds now to reap in the future, and being disciplined and self-aware enough to sow the seeds now and know that we'll reap them in the future, but still do it anyway, rather than getting off on running round, doing this, that and the other, feeling busy, feeling important, feeling like we're making progress, when actually we're just spinning the wheels because it feels like we're good, we're doing good things.
Yeah, if we're going to it makes sense. Okay, I'd probably add a couple of other things to that as well, is that we can talk about time, and if we're going to conceptualize this and make it real in terms of a business context, okay, you can think about hours, you can think about minutes here, but let's translate that into hard cash. So if you think typically You've got 260 working days in a year for a 5-day week. It doesn't matter whether you do more or less than that. You've got typically 8 hours in that day. You've got 1,600. You've got about 2,000 plus hours a year. Work out what the cost of each hour is just in purely cost terms. So do a little exercise, everybody. Add up the running costs of your business. Okay. Convert that to the number of hours that you've got to actually provide the work to your end client. Factor in what I call dead time, where you're going to be twiddling your thumbs, watching cat videos or whatever. And if you work out the hourly cost as a rule of thumb for a small sized business here, your effective hourly rate in cost terms is probably anything from about 20, 25 pounds an hour. If you're a larger corporate here, the actual hourly rate can go ridiculous up to about 60 to 70 pounds an hour. That's what the cost is to your business. So when you look at like an hour here, an hour there, an hour there, convert that into a financial metric here, and then hopefully that might actually focus your mind more about, you know, doing some of the things that me and Jo are talking about.
Yeah, it's making sure as well that you're, and I've said this before, but I'll say it again because you know, we need to all if we all started to do some of these things as a nation, we would be so much more productive as a nation of entrepreneurs. We really would. Is make sure your diary matches your objectives. Make sure your calendar reflects where your priorities are. And it's not about turning up and seeing in the morning and seeing what you feel like doing or seeing what you think needs to be done that day. It's about actually taking some time at the beginning of every day to prioritize, taking time every week, every month, every quarter to prioritize and take corrective action, take planning action, take that action that sows the seeds now for the future as well, and be mindful about it, because it's just so easy to keep spinning the wheels and not moving forward.
Yeah, so it's like exercising any sort of muscle. If you're going to exercise a time muscle, you've got to do everything, you've got to exercise every day, but you've got to stick to a routine. And I think for a lot of businesses that I meet, it's the non-sexy side of business is actually that effort and sweat and to actually get that equity. But if you don't invest that equity, if you don't invest that effort and energy and that discipline, you know, you will not get the rewards that are sustainable there as well. You may get quick wins, you may get quick gratification, but that's not going to sustain you.
Yeah. And what I would say, that said, it's important, a couple of things. Firstly, it's important to budget in however way you budget your time to relax, time to enjoy yourself, time to make the most of life, because it's not just all about work. We've only got one life, as far as I'm aware. Yeah. You might, you know, other people may have a different view. That's fine. But this life we're in right now is likely only ever to happen once. So whatever we believe. So it's about making the most of that and being rounded as well. The other thing is that it's about choosing your moment and being realistic with your time, not trying to do too much. And I know so many people are doing a brilliant job at the moment of juggling, running a business, homeschooling, probably looking after people, you know, their mums, dads, parents, elderly relatives, older relatives that might need some care at the moment, and looking out for community, even more so than we do normally. There's a lot going on right now, so do be realistic, keep moving forward, but don't overstretch either. This isn't about eking out every bit of human drop of productivity that's in us. It's about doing it in a rounded and sustainable and healthy, enjoyable way.
100%. And there's two things that come out of that, what you just said there, Jo. Number one, you know, please don't emulate what some people on social media and social spaces are. You don't have to drink your own urine at 5 o'clock in the morning, go for a 300-mile hike and work till about midnight. It's not about that. It's about working smartly. And also, this whole conversation about time is something me and Jo has talked about offline, and it's also something that's going to impact on our next installment of our Business Growth Club here. We've spoken to a lot of people who've expressed a lot of interest coming onto the course here, and we just feel for them that commitment in their minds to actually commit to the Growth Club is not quite there. There's a lot of uncertainty going on in the next few weeks and a few months. The time, because of homeschooling pressures, businesses being shut down here, we made a conscious decision to actually move the Business Growth Club launch to the end of April. And I think we believe we found a very good resolution that we've found it quite rewarding going through that exercise.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely the right thing to do. Sometimes you've got to do what's right, and we've got lots of people wanting to join, but for them, they've got so much going on that we want people to get the best experience. And we're going to be here, every Tuesday at 6 o'clock, and hopefully sharing some stuff with you every week that you find. There's a nugget in there. There's something, even if you've heard it before, some things, but we all need reminders of things to do in our business and things we can take forward, and lots of new insights as well. We've got some great content planned, so we're going to be showing up, and anything we can do, anything you want us to cover, then any questions you've got, let us have them, and because we're here showing up to help your business and help you grow. This year. Let's get on to a great start with that.
Yeah, well said. So, okay, let me put you on the spot then, Jo. You didn't know I was going to ask you this question. So, now I know you're a super disciplined person. You can give me this answer in French or Spanish. It's entirely up to you. But what is your one weakness? What's your one thing that tends to distract you? Your not your Achilles heel, but the thing that distracts you mostly?
Es que me gusta trabajar demasiado. me gusta trabajar mucho. Entonces, trabajo demasiado. So I work too much, and you asked me in French or Spanish. I did it in very bad Spanish because I've got a cough. It'll really make me cough because I have to go right back there a bit. But I work too much, so I really enjoy work. So the challenge for me is actually switching off and realizing that it's time to stop now, because I absolutely love what I do, and that's genuine, and that's part of the ADHD thing as well that I'm working on. My ADHD drives me to work, so it has some really good pluses. But yeah, I'm trying to switch off a bit more. That's my Achilles heel. What about yours?
Now, I was talking about distractions. So when you're in a work mode or a business mode, there are things that distract you. What's my weakness? I'm very much like you in the sense of after all this time of working for myself, running my own businesses, I love what I do. I know it sounds a cliched thing to say so, but why not? Cliches are cliches because they're true. In terms of in a work mode, the thing that distracts me mostly, and I'm getting better on it, he says, in theory, is because I like helping people responding, and I like this idea of if you're in a service business, you've got to respond positively. You can't keep people waiting. I sometimes don't. I know it sounds really bizarre. I actually put the work that I've got to do to one side in a bid and try and make that balance to actually respond to somebody who's reached out and needs help and whatever. So that's my distraction. But I'm getting better. I turn off the emails and think, actually, I don't need to answer within 10 minutes. I can do that. So you're trying to get that balance, wishing to help people, but actually also knowing that there are other things going on.
Yeah, we love helping people, don't we? And I know we do a lot. And that's one of the things we love about the Business Growth Club, is the real opportunity to help people with the business. So, and we want to keep doing that. So
and we will be, yeah.
Do let us know in the comments. They can either be while we're live or after or in other stuff. What would you love to know about? Is there anything that, if you could ask anything about your business and how to take it forward, what would you ask? And you can do that. You can tell us it's confidential. You can DM us. And we'll respond in a confidential way as well. But we really want to make sure that the content we're producing is valuable for you, and we'll help you out as much as we possibly can. So, and
what I would say is, I don't think it's bragging. I think it's quite correct. Don't think there's anything you can throw at us in a business context, whatever sector you're in, whatever industry you're in, whatever the issue actually is. Obviously, detailed technical advice is maybe not that we can't comment on, that we can't actually share some good insights with you on.
Yeah. So yeah, users, just, you can hear what we think. And if you decide to do something different, that's absolutely fine. It's your business. You know your business better than anybody else. It's your choice. But sometimes just bouncing something off somebody else can give you a different perspective that you hadn't thought of. And we're here for that on these lives going forward. So do ask us anything you like. And I think that's it. So we were trying to keep this till practice what we preach.
Peach.
Practice what we preach.
You tell them, James.
And so I think that's our show for tonight. So what next, Mahmood?
Well, I think next week, we're talking about picking up on the time theme, and we're going to share some actual hacks with you next week. So some productivity tips, some insights to how to best manage the time and get the most out of it. So there'll be some practical stuff that we're going to do. We may even introduce a flip chart or two next week. We just don't know how we're going to feel next week.
Yeah, I mean, it could, with a flip chart, it could go crazy. Mahmood with a flip chart and a permanent marker pen. Tune in to find out more. So yes, we're also going to go through I've got something called a project hygiene checklist. So we've got 6 questions, so you can join the quiz, and we'll ask you. You can go play along with us and see how you do in terms of managing your time and getting new initiatives off the ground as well. So that'll be helpful.
So brilliant. Listen, everyone, have a fantastic week ahead.
Yeah, have a good one. Stay safe and well. We'll see you next Tuesday. Bye for now.
And let's play out with a brilliant show reel. Take care, everyone. Let's do this. Count 3, 2, 1.
Hi there, welcome to today's Business Growth Club show. We are so pleased to have you here. The theme is growth marketing.
We're talking about actions and consequences today.
It's all about purpose.
Driving business growth with using KPIs.
We're talking money mindset.
The Growth Club, I mean, not to oversell it, but it's so well organised. So yeah, it was totally invaluable.
The Growth Club, coupled alongside with the Masters that I'm doing at Strategic Leadership at the moment, both of those things happening collectively have definitely transformed, and the Growth Club did have a massive impact for our business.
What is it that attracted you to come to the Growth Club in the first place? Let me just start off with that.
Well,